Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, I will be doing my November wrap-up and my December TBR. So I'll be talking about all of the books that I have finished or all of the books that I plan on finishing in the month of November. And I will also be talking about the books that I plan on getting to in the month of December. So because of, a lot of books that I have to talk about, I want to, do this kind of quickly. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I actually did manage to read a good number of books before Stacy came. And then, of course, when Stacy came, we were busy having a bunch of plans and stuff. So I tried to get as much reading as done as possible before she came. And I did manage to do that. So I'm just going to quickly mention some of the books that are falling off my lap here. There we go. All right. So one of the books that I read was Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. Now, I've read a couple of his books. I really enjoyed No Country for Old Men. I really liked the dialogue in that book. And then I also read The Road, which I thought was severely overrated. I really don't understand the hype for that book. But I read this one, and this was kind of like a happy medium. Like, it wasn't like an all-time favorite, but I did like it much more better than The Road. This one had very cool writing, and the prose was excellent. Dialogue was pretty good, but none of the characters besides, like the judge really left like a lasting impression on me, but I'm glad I read it. It was pretty good, like 3.5 stars. And also I have read 12 Kings and Cherokee for the Shattered Sands read-along that I'm doing over on my Discord server. We read this in the month of November, and of course we'll be reading With Blood Upon the Sand in December, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the TBR portion of the video. And also, this is a prequel novella of Sand and Malice Made. I have not yet finished it, but I have about, like 70 pages left, so that'll be finished today. And we're also reading Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie. Me and Stacy are actually reading this together. Of course, I've talked about this book so much on my channel, y'all probably are tired of hearing about it, but I think this is like the 8th or 9th time I'm reading it, so it's been fun, and she's enjoying it, so yeah, that's great. Also, we're wrapping up Nightmares and Dreamscapes for the Stephen King Short Story Book Club, and we're just about done. The only one that we have left, I think, is Head Down, which is actually a 40-page nonfiction essay about Little League Baseball. I'm not reading it, so y'all don't have to. I left it optional, and then I think there's like a little 2-page poem at the end called Brooklyn August. I'll be honest, this is not one of my favorite collections from Stephen King. I may or may not do a ranking for this. I might just do like a short review for it and just say which are my favorite and which are my least favorites, because honestly, I don't really have that many favorites in this one. So there's that. I also did my reread for Storm of Swords, which is the 3rd book in A Song of Ice and Fire. And this has always been my favorite in the series. It's still my favorite in the series. And even though it's like a 1,100-page book, I did manage to kind of plow right through it. Just because I could put on the audiobook and just have it at like 2 times speed. And yeah, it was excellent. And I'm going to try to continue with the series. And I'll talk more about that in the TBR portion. I also read The Night Swim, which was actually a buddy read with Stacy. I didn't like this one quite as much as her previous book that I read by her, which I'm blanking on the name for. Hold on. The Escape Room. Yeah, The Escape Room is also by Megan Golden. I actually liked that one slightly better. I kind of had the opposite problem. This book started out great, but by the time you get to the last third and the ending of the book, I didn't like it as much, whereas The Escape Room started off kind of slow, but it had one of the best build-ups and just one of the best endings to a thriller I've ever read. So I'm glad I read this one, but not another all-time favorite for me. I've got 2 more books to talk about in my November wrap-up. They're both audiobooks. One of them is The Black Tongue Thief, which I actually did a book review because it was the Patreon winner for the month of November. I'm not going to talk about it too much here just because, like I said, I have the book review. I didn't love it. I gave it 2.5 stars. I liked some aspects of it, but overall, it was just kind of a mess for me. I know a lot of people love it, but it just wasn't for me. And then probably my favorite book of the month, besides any rereads, was The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson, which is the new and final book in the Mistborn Era 2 quartet or series, whatever you want to call it. I had a blast with it. I actually read it on release day. I think it's like an 18-hour audiobook, but I just cranked it up to two times speed, and it was so much fun. Like, it's probably my favorite Mistborn book, and that's including Era 2, which I love more than Era 1, and clearly I like it more than Era 1. So yeah, The Lost Meadow by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if I'm going to give it 5 stars, but it's definitely 4.5 stars. I had a blast with it, and it was just a fantastic conclusion to the series. And now we're into the second part of the video, which is my December TBR, all of the books that I plan on getting to in the month of December. And of course, I'm going to start with A Feast for Crows by George R. R. Martin, the 4th book in A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm already like 250 pages in. I do anticipate finishing this in December and then moving on to Dance with Dragons in January. I doubt I'll have enough time to finish all 5 books this year, but I can get to Dance in January. But I definitely want to finish Feast in December. And then I have Empire of Silence by Christopher Rucchio, or Rocchio, whatever. And me and Stacy are going to be buddy reading this. This actually won the poll for the buddy read in December that we're going to be reading together. I still don't really know what this book is about, but Stacy is definitely excited for it, so I'm hopefully we'll both enjoy it. And then continuing with the Shattered Sands read-along over on my Discord, we'll be reading the sequel to 12 Kings and Cherokee with Blood Upon the Sand. Now, this book is excellent. It's definitely a worthwhile sequel to the first book, and I definitely am anxious to see what people think about it over on my Discord. So that will be definitely a fun reread. And now, if you guys don't know, I do Guess the Beat every month on my Discord server, and essentially you just get to guess the beats. I post 3 beats and have some clues with them, and then that's like a monthly thing I do. And the winner, I pick a monthly winner. They get to pick a book for me to read every month from my TBR page on Goodreads. And Pat Sava, who is just like a savant at Guess the Beat, he hasn't guessed a beat wrong. He's gotten all the beats right since I've started it. And he actually won for November, and the book that he wants me to read is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which is a great pick because I loved Vicious. I gave that book 5 stars. It was so much fun. I've heard not so great things about the sequel, but I can at least get to it, see what I think about it, and I'll get to finish the series. So thank you, Pat Sava, for picking that one. Also, this next book is another book that I'm excited to read, and actually it got picked twice for me to read. And enough beating around the bush, I'm talking about Voice of War by Zach Argyle. Now, the reason it got picked twice was because over on the Wizardly Duo Discord, run by Andrew and Nico, we did like a mod event where people got to vote on what books the moderators have to read in the month of December. And Voice of War won definitely. I think it got like 1/3 of the votes. And then also for my Patreon page, my Patreons get to vote for which books they want me to read every month. And Sharon was the winner for December, and her book was also Voice of War, so double boom there. And yeah, I'm very excited for Voice of War. Before I forget, me and Stacy also have yet another buddy read that hopefully we'll get to in December. If we don't get to it, it's not the end of the world, but I'd love for us to be able to get to it. And that would be Locklands by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is, of course, the 3rd and final book in the Founders trilogy, and I am very excited for it because I loved the first 2 books, Foundryside and Shorefall. I've heard this one isn't quite as good as the other 2, but I'm still very interested to see how this crazy series is going to end, and also it'll finish another series, which is always good. And then I have 2 final books, and these books will be very fun because me and Josephina from the channel Feeny Reads are going to be doing a short TBR swap in the month of December. And the two books that she picked for me to read in the month of December are The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter and The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Villiso. I'm very excited to read both of these. My good buddy Sharon Dwyer has read Karen Slaughter and this book specifically, and she said she had a very good time with it. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that. I've also, The Wolf of Oren-Yaro comes highly recommended from Josephina. I think she's read the whole trilogy and really enjoyed it. I started this a while ago, and I was really enjoying it, like the first 3 or 4 chapters, but at that point, I had just gotten so burnt out on fantasy that I kind of just put it on the wayside. But now I'm in a much more fantasy mood, definitely after October from the Stephen King readathon, because that was a lot of horror books, a lot of thriller books, but I'm very much excited to pick up some epic fantasy. So yes, she wants me to read The Good Daughter and The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. And I believe... Oh, wait, no. I have one more book to talk about. Hold on. Hold the phone. This book is optional. I don't have to get to it, but I'd love to be able to get to it because there's a readathon going on, and I think there's 4 channels that are running it, including one of my good BookTube buddies, Kevy from Say Kevy. They're doing an Agatha Christie themed readathon for I think like a week or 10 days in the month of December. I'll post the link down to it below. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I would love to try to get to this book, which is Postern of Fate by Agatha Christie. And this is the last Tommy and Tuppence book. I've read the first 4, and this is the 5th and final one. I'd love to be able to get to it and count it towards the readathon to help my team out. So if I can get to it, that would be excellent. If not, you know, I have a lot of books to read, and it is December, which is probably the busiest time of year for me personally and for work. So it might be a little ambitious, but hopefully I can get to all of these books and have a great time. All right, so that is my November wrap-up and my December TBR. What did you guys think of the books that I read in the month of November? What were your favorite and least favorite books in the month of December? And what do you guys think of my December TBR? What are you guys the most excited for me to read in the month of December? Leave all of your great comments down in the comments below. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and go subscribe to the Bookish Drummer Discord and the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Go check out my Patreon page if you want to go support me there. And I also have my Amazon wishlist if anyone would like to buy me a book. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.